Hello and welcome back to the course on Introduction to Solid State Physics. In the last class, we have been discussing about the discreteness of the energy levels when an electron is confined to move inside a one-dimensional box. The same idea can be extended to the solid and to the free electron theory of the metals, and we are implementing the quantum corrections to the classical Drude model. So one of the main purpose of this Drude model is to find out the total number of charge carriers in a metal. So in the Sommerfeld correction also we have to find out the way to calculate the total number of charge carriers. So for that, we know classically the energy levels are completely continuous. That means there is no concept of energy levels. Classically, the electrons can have any amount of energy starting from 0 to infinity, but quantum mechanically we saw that the energy levels are discrete, and we can find out, if we can find out the total number of energy levels, and if we can find out how the electrons are being distributed in these energy levels, then we can find out the total number of electrons inside the metal. So today's task is to find out the number of allowed electronic states or the energy levels for the electrons inside a solid. In the next class, we will try to find out the occupation probability. That means how these allowed electronic states are occupied with the electrons, which is governed by the Fermi-Dirac statistics. The first term, that is the allowed electronic states, is given by the density of states function, which is a function of energy. Today we will try to find out then an expression for the density of states as a function of the energy. In the next class, as I told, we will be using the Fermi-Dirac statistics to find out the occupation probability of these levels by the electrons. So now let us first define what is the density of states. The density of states is defined as the number of allowed electronic states per unit volume per unit energy range from E to E plus dE. So the unit of density of states will be some number per centimeter cube per energy. The number of electronic states per unit volume per unit energy interval. So for simplicity, first let us consider in one-dimensional free electron system, and the system is having a length L. And since the free electrons doesn't have any kind of potential energy, V is equal to 0, and we know how to write down the wave function for a free particle. So the corresponding wave function for the free electrons in one dimension can be written as psi x is equal to e to the power I k x, and this a is a normalization constant, which we need not bother that much at the time being. This is the normalization constant. Now we can apply the periodic boundary condition. That means at x equal to 0 and at x equal to L, the value of the wave function is going to remain the same. So it is as if this particular line, we can join it from here to here, we can bend it like this so that it will take the shape of a ring. So the point x equal to 0 and at x equal to L, they lie at the same end. At this point, since we are applying the periodic boundary condition, so the wave function must be also be same, that is psi 0 is equal to psi L, and we know what is psi 0. Psi 0 will be equal to 1 and psi L is equal to a into e to the power I k L. So the a factor will get cancelled out, and we can obtain a condition for the wave vector. The wave vector, we can see now it is quantized, and it is 2 pi n by L, and n is called as the quantum number, and the value of n is plus minus 1 plus minus 2, like that all the integers except 0. Here we cannot take n to be equal to 0, because if n is 0, then KL becomes 0, which is physically not acceptable, because L is the length of this particular system, which cannot be 0, and k corresponds to the kinetic energy of the electrons, which also cannot be 0. So neither L nor k will be 0. So KL equal to 0 is not acceptable. So that's why n is not equal to 0. So the value of n is only the integers except 0. So we can rewrite the expression for the wave function, that is a into exponential 2 pi nix by L. This can be extended through to the 3 dimension, and in that case n will be having a set of quantum numbers nx, ny and nz, and this nx, ny and nz, all this can take the positive integer values, positive as well as negative integer values except 0. So psi n can be written as a into exponential 2 pi I by L nxx plus nyy plus nzz. Now the corresponding condition for quantization also is in the 3 parts. So now the vector k comes into picture. The k is having 3 components now, so the k vector will come into picture, and we know that this dimension of this k vector is 1 by length. From the basic wave equation we know that k is also called as the propagation constant. K is equal to 2 pi by lambda. So the dimension of k is 1 by length. So that's why it is also referred to as the reciprocal space. So k space or the reciprocal space. In this k space we are having this vector k having the components kx, ky and kz, and all these components are quantized, that is kx is equal to 2 pi nx by L, ky is equal to 2 pi ny by L, and kz is equal to 2 pi nz by L. Remember here 3 dimension means we are considering a cube of each side having length L. Now when our main aim is to find out the density of states, that means the number of allowed electronic states per unit volume per unit energy interval. So the states are identified with the k vector. So a unique k vector is associated with a state. That's why it is also referred to as the k state. So whenever we are calling it as a state, so it must be associated with one k vector. And since for every k we are having a set of quantum numbers nx, ny, nz, this is a unique discrete set of quantum numbers for each k. So what is the volume occupied by a single k state? So since this factor 2 pi by L is coming in the x component, y component and z component, you have to simply take the product of this 2 pi by L, this 2 pi by L and this 2 pi by L. That is the total volume occupied by the k state. So the volume occupied by the k state will be 2 pi whole cube by L cube, and L cube is the volume of this cube. We can write it also as V. It is the 3-dimensional volume of this cube. So this is the volume occupied by a single k state. Our intention is to find out the total number of k states per unit volume. So the total k states in this volume can be written as L cube by 2 pi q. So this is the volume. So this is the number of k states in the volume L cube. So this is the total number of k states. Total number of k states. And also we know that in each k state we can have either the spin half or the spin minus half, because we know that the electrons are having odd half integral spin. So either plus half spin is possible or the minus half spin is possible. So taking into account the spin degeneracy, we can have this number of k states will be L q by 2 pi whole cube into 2. And if we consider a width delta k, so inside this width delta k we are having LQ by 2 pi whole cube to delta k number of k states. So what will be the density of states? It is the number of states per unit volume. This is the total number of states in the volume LQ. So the density of states can be written as 2 by 2 pi whole cube into del k, simply divided by this volume term. But one problem is that this del k has to be written in the form of the energy. So we need to have a transformation between this k space to this energy space. We need a transformation from this k space to this energy space. So to do that, we have to take the help of the energy of the electron. We know that the energy of the electron is completely kinetic, that is E is equal to p square by 2m. And from the de Broglie hypothesis, we know that P is equal to h cross k. P is equal to h cross k, because k is equal to 2 pi by lambda, and we know that from basic quantum mechanics lambda is equal to h by p. So if we apply that, then we can get the energy of a free electron to be equal to h cross square k square by 2m. And since the relation between E and k from this equation is a parabola, that's why this is also referred to as the parabolic approximation, and this is a very good approximation for the free electrons, for the relation between the energy and the wave vector. So now for the transformation from the k space to the energy space, we need to write the k vector or the k parameter in the form of the energy parameter. And what will be dk? That you can do a simple differentiation, and here h cross square is a constant, 2m is a constant, m is the mass of the electron, h cross is the reduced Planck constant. So this will be dE by root over of E factor will come. So dk can be written as root over of m by 2 into 1 by h cross times dE by root over of E. So this is the transformation between the energy and the momentum. So this one is one relation, k is equal to root over of 2me by h cross square. So wherever we will see this k, we have to replace it with root over of 2me by h cross square, and wherever we see this dk, we have to replace it with this particular parameter. So now let us find out what is this delta k for a three-dimensional solid. So delta k can be found out by considering two constant spherical surfaces in the k space, and they are situated, they are having the values k and k plus dk. So one of this surface corresponds to k and the other surface corresponds to k plus dk. So the total volume occupied between these two surfaces will be given by delta k, which is equal to 4 pi k square dk. So this is like a sphere. There are two concentric spheres, and the total volume of the cell between these two spheres is 4 pi k square dk. So now we have the relation for the density of states. You have to replace del k with 4 pi k square dk, and in the place of k square you have to write 2me by h cross square, and the corresponding dk also you have to write in the form of dE. So this we have to write in the form of E, and this one you have to write in the form of dE, and ultimately we can get the final expression for the density of states, which is root over of 2 by pi square m by h cross square to the power 3 by 2 into root over of E dE. And out of this factor is a constant for the electrons. So m is the mass of the electron and rest are the corresponding constants. H cross is the reduced Planck constant. So only variable here is the energy. That's why we are writing this density of states is a function of the energy. Now if I plot a graph between the density of states and the energy, then how it will look like? It will follow the square root variation. So this is the density of states, GE. I have mentioned here NE and GE both are same. So this is how it varies. This is the square root of E variation, and this is only valid for a three-dimensional bulk solid. When we go to a two-dimensional electron system, that means a quantum well. If you consider a quantum well, then in that case this del K is no more the volume element, rather it is the area element, which is 2 pi K dk. And once we replace K with the corresponding energy factor and dk with the corresponding dE factor, in that case we will see that the density of states is independent of the energy. So for a quantum well, the density of states is constant and it is not a function of the energy. Whereas if you look at the quantum wire, in this case del K is a length element. So if you replace it, then we will get the density of states to be varying as 1 by root over of E. So this quantum well and quantum wire we are not going to discuss in this particular course. That will be discussed in more detail in the nanotechnology course. We will be discussing or focusing our attention only to the three-dimensional bulk solid, for which the density of states varies at root over of E. So in the next class we will try to find out how these states are filled by the electrons, and as I told, they obey the Fermi-Dirac distribution function in the manner in which the states are filled, and then ultimately we can find out the total number of charge carriers in the metal.